Really nice of Dan to send this helicopter to pick me up. Thought it was weird at first because he lives so close, but then I read the text he sent me. I know I haven't been as active with gatecrashers, but how did it come to Dan purchasing an island? This place is beautiful. Almost reminds me of... Oh no. He's been so busy with whether or not he could, he didn't stop to think if he should.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Oh, we are so fucked.
You didn't say the magic word.
Please!
I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
Clever girl.
Welcome to Gatecrashers, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, our code is this: to make all things more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. Hi, my name's Mike. My pronouns are he, him.
And I'm Dan. My pronouns are also he, him. And today, with Jurassic Park Dominion coming out this week...
Jurassic World Dominion, Dan.
Shit. I'm going to do the entire episode. I'm going to switch between Jurassic World and Jurassic Park nonstop.
Yeah.
I did it when I was writing all of this, too. So
Jurassic
it's just how it's going to be.
Park World.
So, Jurassic World Dominion is coming out the week that we're recording this. So we decided it was high time for us to head over to Isla Nublar. Now, we'll be covering Jurassic Park. We'll also be talking about Jurassic World. We even sprinkled in Battle at Big Rock because it's beautiful and free to watch on YouTube, and you 100% should watch it. Now, Mike, what is your relationship with dinosaurs at Jurassic Park?
My relationship with dinosaurs. I guess I consider myself ethically non-monogamous. No, I'm kidding. Oh man, I have definitely had a fascination with dinosaurs since I was a very little kid. I was that kid that asked my parents at a very young age, like, hey, where are the dinosaurs in the Bible? Like, why aren't they there? They left that part out, what happened. And this movie came out in Jurassic Park came out in 93, right? I probably didn't see it until I was like, I don't know, 8 or 10, somewhere around there. I have to guess. And I'm pretty sure it was probably like on TBS or TNT one night or something like that. And just, I didn't understand who Steven Spielberg was at the time. And I had maybe the faintest of understanding of who John Williams was at the time, but just completely head over heels in love with the movie. Just enamored with it. It's really the only impression that I have of watching it for the first time is just, the big first scene where they see them for the first time. And it's just, I think that's the quintessential movie magic moment if there ever was one. I know there's a lot of other films that have moments like that, but like that moment where you're just able to completely suspend your disbelief and just you're so in it by the time it's over. It's just, you're hooked. What about you?
So much earlier than you.
Yeah. As with most
things.
As
most things. My grandmother had a VHS copy of it in her sunroom in her house where we used to live. So I could not tell you the age. I was probably, if the movie came out in 93, I was probably when the movie came to VHS is when I was watching it. Okay. So I distinctly remember picking the movie up out of this like wicker basket she had with all of her movies, putting it into one of the VHSs in the sunroom, and just standing my dumbass little head right in front of the TV when that scene played with the Velociraptors, and scared the absolute shit out of me. And I watched that. I used to go there after school. I watched that shit every single day.
Yeah.
To the point when it came back out in 2013, I think it was in 3D if I remember correctly. I saw it with my friend Jeff, and he got so annoyed because we're sitting in the theater and I knew every single line still.
Yeah.
I can't do it as much anymore, but like I knew every line.
Yeah, it's I remember when on our website we did those like top 10s a couple years ago for like the whole year. And it wasn't things, for those that didn't know, it wasn't things that necessarily came out that year that we did it. It was just things we experienced for the first time that year. And one of the things on my list was Schindler's List, because it was the first time I'd ever watched it. And I think the comment that I made was like, it might be Steven Spielberg's best film. Like, I think it might be better than Jurassic Park on a technical level, but Jurassic Park is infinitely more rewatchable because it's just, Schindler's List is just so heavy emotionally. But yeah, I could watch this movie. I could watch this movie anytime.
Yeah, look, I'm literally sitting here earlier writing up some of the script stuff and listening to the theme music, and I was like, I watched it on HBO Max because I didn't feel like going through all of my DVDs to find the 4K.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. Maybe if I have time tonight, I'm just going to get the 4K out and watch it. Because, like, again, I could watch this movie every day. I don't rewatch things often.
I know.
But Jurassic Park is just one of those things, like, so Mike and I saw it with a live orchestra a couple years ago in Philadelphia. And I don't know if it had just rained or it was raining. And we were under a big thing.
Yeah, I think it was intermittently raining during it or just before. And it was, God, it had to be, it was nighttime and it still was like 84 and just 100% humidity.
It was so humid, and I looked at Mike and I was like, damn, I feel like I'm really there. I got this huge swamp ass right now. I feel like I'm treading through the forest with them.
That was easily the most incredible experience I think I'll ever have watching this film. Maybe other than the first time I watched it, like just because that made such an impression, but
yeah, absolutely
unlike anything I've ever experienced. Yeah, film-wise, since it's amazing.
So, Mike, do you want to give us a back of the box blurb for the Jurassic Park / World trilogies?
Do you like Disney World? What if Walt Disney tried to play God and bring back the most dangerous predators to ever exist on Earth to profit off of them in some cruel use of mad science? That's kind of what Jurassic Park is, but Dr. Hammond doesn't have a stranglehold on freedom like Mickey does, so the park goes upside down fast, but hey, capitalism reigns, so they brought it back again for Jurassic World, and it actually worked as a theme park for a while. Till it didn't.
I just watched Jurassic World yesterday. I can't wait to talk about like a specific thing for way too long that only I'm interested in.
Of course.
So, a brief history of Jurassic Park, the IP. So Jurassic Park, the 1993 film, was directed by a little-known director named Steven Spielberg.
Wait, who?
Stevie.
Who?
Not sure if you heard of this guy.
Who?
So the film was based on the novel of the same name written by Michael. We just did his name. We
Crichton.
literally talked about
Michael
it before. Crichton. Michael Crichton, who co-wrote the film with David Koepp.
David Koepp.
David Koepp also he wrote Spider-Man 1 starring Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
So, upon release, the film grossed $914 million, which was the first time a film surpassed the $900 million mark. It beat out the other record of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, also directed by the goddamn man Steven motherfucking Spielberg.
Stage note, insert air horns here.
Stevie hired Stan Winston's studio to do the puppets and worked with Industrial Lights and Magic to bring the dinosaurs to life. Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum starred alongside Richard Attenborough, who I just found out is David Attenborough's brother, and my entire life has changed.
Wait,
I was sitting...
What?
Yeah.
Like, Quinn and I were just watching Prehistoric Planet the other night, so that's...
wild, right?
Insane.
Yeah. I get to watch that. That one I'm very excited for. I fucking love dinosaurs.
It's really good so far. We're like 3 episodes in. It's great.
It's set in like the past, right? It's not modern.
Yeah, no, it's literally like a nature documentary as if they were somehow able to shoot it while dinosaurs were still alive.
Damn. I want one where they're like alive today.
Yeah. It's
like
going to take a lot of more work for them.
Well, listen, that's what Jurassic Park Dominion is about. Or Jurassic World Dominion.
Gotcha.
That's why I'm super excited for it. So, the film Yeah, the Attenborough thing blew my mind. I had no idea they were brothers.
That's insane.
And it's so funny because David Attenborough is known for literally the greatest narrator who's ever lived. And his brother was the one who created dinosaurs. So the film was re-released in 2013, which pushed its end gross to $1.029 billion. So it is, I think it's 38 on the highest grossing films of all time. The film that dethroned it is Titanic, which did not sink at the box office. It actually made more money than any other film ever. Shout out to James Cameron. So JP changed films forever with its mixture of practical and CGI effects that hold up even today. I'm going to do a hot take. Usually I do these in the later half, but it still looks better than the current iteration. Like I was watching World and some of the parts with the fucking super dinosaur didn't look as good as the T-Rex. And I was like, damn. Interesting. Because it's the mix of practical effects and CGI changed film. So the film spawned 2 sequels, which made it the Jurassic Park trilogy. There was a shit ton of toys that I bought too many of, video games, everything. And eventually, it had its own theme park in Universal's Islands of Adventure. Another note about my relationship with this series, my grandparents took me to Islands of Adventure when I was a kid, and getting to walk up to the literal Jurassic Park gates, and the fires on the gate and John Williams' score playing as a kid, I was like, this is real. And again, I went a couple years ago and I walked through again as an adult, and I have the same feeling because it's like seeing those gates with person. Williams' score, and you're like,
nuts.
Holy shit! Like, wow. And again, that's just me feeding the corporate machine, but like, oh, it's so cool.
Right.
Speaking of corporate, but as capitalism demands, we needed to go bigger, which brings us to Jurassic World, the first of the World trilogy, which ties up this week. Someone had the bright idea to bring back the park, and turns out it had been running for a couple years before we see this film. Now, those goddamn millennials got bored of dinosaurs, so the park had to make new ones, and, they just go buck wild. Jimmy Buffett's in this one. Wild stuff. Colin Trevorrow directed the first in the new trilogy, and the theme park at Universal recently upgraded to fit with the world theming with a new coaster, because you always have to go bigger. And I'm just waiting for Universal to get the funds to finally knock Disney off the theme park ladder by creating real dinosaurs, because nothing can go wrong with that.
Yep, nothing at all. Well,
Mike, what are some of the themes explored in these films?
Speaking of themes and theming, some of the themes in these films revolve around the ideas of man versus nature, or woman versus nature, take your pick. Technology and power, the evils of capitalism, technology versus old ways, playing God, progress at what cost, and then all the ethical questions surrounding all of that stuff. And who might like this? With Jurassic Park being an enormous IP, there's definitely something for everybody. Park itself, Jurassic Park, is a little scarier and uses a lot of horror film tactics to drive the story in what's frankly a masterclass of monster movie filmmaking. The world films are a lot bigger in scale and action, which lands really well for a lot of people. But both trilogies are blockbusters, but they're very different tonally, with one relying a bit more on the nostalgia, a bit maybe being a little bit of an understatement for the original, while stomping out its own path toward the end. Also, anybody named Alan may enjoy the third film.
Alan. So it's, okay, Jurassic Park,
The
Lost World, Jurassic Park
3.
And then Jurassic Park 3. We've got Jurassic World, then we have Jurassic World...
Fallen Kingdom,
and then we have Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
The first one did rely a lot on... We'll talk about that later, but the second one kind of did its own thing, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
There also is Camp Cretaceous on Netflix, which is a wonderful use of the series meant for kids. I've watched like 3 seasons of it because I genuinely love Jurassic Park, and I'll do anything to see more of it. And sorry, it was set in World, so you get to see like kind of like people actually going to the park and enjoying it, where you don't get to see that a ton in the film.
Yeah.
But I will honestly go on record and say that Cretaceous is my third favorite thing with Jurassic titling, with JP sitting at top and then Battle at Big Rock in second place. Now, you can get these films pretty much anywhere. Jurassic Park is currently streaming on HBO Max in the US and is out on 4K if you want to pick it up. Now, World is currently not streaming anywhere other than to rent, but it is also out on home viewing devices. Maybe Betamax? I'm not sure. I'm not a doctor. You can watch Battle at Big Rock on YouTube. Do it now. If you haven't, turn off the episode and just go watch it. It's 10 minutes long. It's free. Come on. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It was a short film they showed on FX between 2 and 3.
It's very good.
After 2, the dinosaurs get out. Surprise.
Yeah,
and it is how the dinosaurs interact. It is a wonderful 10-minute horror movie. Please watch it. And Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous is on Netflix. I know you were supposed to do that part, but I just kept going and didn't realize it. I was just excited to talk about Battle at Big Rock again.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk more about later. So, listen, I know Jurassic Park is probably playing on 8 different channels right now, but just like stay on this one, watch it afterwards. But when we come back from the jump, we'll have our spoiler-filled talk. So just stay on this channel. Note to self, chain link fencing may be more cost efficient than electric fencing, but probably not the best place to cut costs. Oh God, our insurance company is gonna be pissed.
God damn it, I leave you alone for a minute and you find scientists to bring back the most dangerous predator imaginable.
No, dumbass, that would be The Predator. And we haven't covered that movie yet.
We're trapped. We're gonna die. This is the end. All my hard work in life, and I die never having met Carly Rae Jepsen. What a ripoff!
Chill out. There's a big difference between Hammond and I as park owners. I'm always packing. Hey, Tiny Arms. You ever hear of chaos theory? How about you chaotically theorize D's nuts? And we're back. So let's go in order of release.
Okay.
Let's start with Jurassic Park. What are your overall feelings about the movie?
I mean, to touch on kind of what I mentioned earlier with that movie magic feeling, I mean, this is like the big one to me. Like I love Star Wars to death. I mean, you know that, but there's just something about this movie that has always been on another level to me than just about anything else I've watched. I don't think since seeing this, anything has ever really topped the feeling of seeing that Brontosaurus Brachiosaurus for the first time, whatever it is. It's Steven Spielberg at like the absolute height of his career with John Williams at the absolute height of his career. Both of them having a career year because this and Schindler's List were made at like almost the same time.
Damn, really?
Yeah, they both came out like within a year of each other. Like it is insane to me that the two of them as the dynamic duo that they are, because they have to be the greatest duo in film creation that there ever has been. It's insane to me that they cranked out both of those films that close together. Like what? like and complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, I know this is about Jurassic Park and I don't want to go too off the rails here, but like you're talking about a movie that's like has this, I don't know, I know Jurassic Park has like a lot of horror elements, but it's also like this, how do I describe it? There's this enormous sense of the weight of like the beauty of life being created. And then Schindler's List is on the complete opposite end with the like worst horrors that are imaginable that humanity could create or perform. Like, I mean, and I guess in some sense that's Jurassic Park 2, right? Because we're like, you know, Hammond's cloning these monsters, but it's different. There's like, but still, I just can't believe that they did that in like the span of a year or two or whatever it was. But yeah, I just, there's something about the combination of the practical and computer animated effects in this movie. It's like they just call lightning in a bottle. It's like everything just happened at the exact right time. Like any earlier and the effects would have been, you know, more animatronics that, or, you know, stop motion, like that might have looked a little more like, I know you love RoboCop and I do too, but like that, what's the big robot in that movie that he has to fight?
Edie.
Like you can tell it's stop motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's stop motion.
And it's like a cheesy effect, and it works in that film. But like if the T-Rex looked like that in some of the scenes, like it would just be like, like it just wouldn't quite sell it. But then I think any later, like if it came out in 2000, it probably would have been a little too heavy on the CGI usage in an era when the CGI really wasn't even all there yet. And it probably would have aged really poorly. Like if you look a little too closely to some of the scenes in like Return of the King, where like there's these like big, what are they, like the big, like they got like the big war elephants or something like that, right? But like
you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I know. Ethan's not on this podcast, but
did you know that when Viggo Mortensen kicked that helmet, that it broke his fucking foot and he fucking
I
kept
know
doing
that.
because to fucking hear it every fucking time someone brings up those goddamn fucking movies.
But my point is, if you look a little too close at certain scenes, like those movies absolutely hold up. I love that trilogy, but you can see some spots if you look a little closely where you're like, oh wow, like they really didn't have the textures yet to really make these things look good if you look too closely. And in Lord of the Rings, it works because there's like these huge armies and stuff. But anyway,
with this, it's a lot of the scenes where they're puppets, like the T-Rex. It
and
feels real because
they
like
built
it's rainy.
A large scale animatronic. I mean, like the head
huge.
was the size of the actual thing. It's not like it's just some like miniature that they tried to shoot with a wide angle lens and make it look a certain way. Like it really is just lightning in a bottle. And I've just never since watched a movie that's made me feel like I was there in the same way. And it's just magical. There's no other way to like put it. And we'll get back to this later, but I think a lot of that is on John Williams. But
a lot of it. Yeah. So with the visual effects, it's like those scenes where they're in the Jeeps and they're sitting there and the fucking T-Rex like comes through the electric gate and eats the guy while he's taking a dump. Like that stuff feels and still looks so good because they use enough practical effects with like the rain and things like that. When you see its eye, you're like, yeah, that's real. Like you're like, that's not
because that like that you're talking about where she shines the flashlight in the eye out of the window because that's the animatronic.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And it's excellent puppeteering because they have to time that right with when she, shines the flashlight right on it to dilate the pupil or whatever. Like, but it's that. I think it's a lot the fact, I think, and we'll maybe talk more about this when we talk about World, but like I think in World, there's a lot of things where they'll CGI not just the dinosaur, but the whole scene, the grass, everything, because it can be easier to make like, the dinosaur's feet interact with the ground that way. But the thing that I think is missing is like, as great as CGI has gotten, I just still think we're not 100% there. And the human brain on a subconscious level still sees it sometimes and notices. There's some things you never notice, like in John Wick, when like a drop of blood goes down his forehead, like sometimes that's CGI and nobody notices or bats an eye, but like,
there's a point that you can handle it too. So if you go over
and
that
so
like
if like the
50%
whole
scale, you're like, oh, that's not real.
CG, it just doesn't, there's something that doesn't quite sit right all the time, I think. And I think when you animate the T-Rex on a shot that's actually the land that they were on out on set, like there's just something that adds. And there's something about, I don't have the technical know-how with how they did this to really put it out there, but like there's something about the weight of the T-Rex in the original that you just like, it's not just screen shake, right? Like there's got to be something more that they're doing that makes it feel that way with the sound design and everything else. But I don't know about you, like when I saw World, I was just like, I don't feel like the T-Rex is as heavy and big.
I'm not afraid of it. Yeah, there was no like, I don't know, there's no gravity to everything that because they're not real. I mean, they're not real either way, but it doesn't feel like there's any, I don't know, oomph behind them, which is just how it kind of is. Because in World, there's a specific scene that I was talking about earlier. There's the Megas or whatever the fuck it's called, the giant dinosaur, and there's a guy sitting in front of a car, like squat down, like trying to hide from it.
I think I remember this.
And what's his face is watching from under the car. And I didn't feel it at all because, like, I'm looking at it and all I can concentrate on is, like, oh, that looks terrible. Like, that CGI isn't that... Like, it should be better for one of the biggest franchises ever.
You know, another thing is, I think Steven Spielberg directed the first one, right? And I am sure he learned a few things from filming Jaws.
That's what I was going to say. There's no one that does, because Jaws is all about the anticipation.
Well, it's he understands that less is more. And with Jaws, that was out of necessity because they didn't have the money for everything they wanted to do. But I think that was a valuable lesson that Spielberg probably learned from that outcome of how that movie came out. And then with World, it's like now that we can just CGI the hell out of everything, it's like there's not a lot of anticipation, like the word you used, to wait and build and you know, when you finally, I mean, I remember watching the movie as a kid for the first time, and as soon as you see that goat, you're like, oh, you know what's going to happen, but it takes like 15 minutes to get there, or it feels like it at least. Like, and even when you get there, it's like, you know, you see the goat disappear, and then you see, like, you know, the claw like slide off one of the electrical lines just to indicate that, like, oh yeah, the electrical lines are dead, like, so he's a threat. But you just see the claw, the front arm claw, and then what? You eventually, or maybe it's before or after that you see him kind of, or maybe it's a she, because most of the dinosaurs on the island are supposed to be female.
Rexy's a
right.
she.
So you see her like toss the goat up with her mouth and, like, you know, devour it. But it's just, you know, through the trees, and it's just the mouth. And then finally, after all this waiting, you get that glory shot of her busting through the cables, and just the steps, like, again, the gravity, like, I think a lot of it's the sound design too. It feels so
that's what I was just
heavy.
thinking. You have to give it to not even just John. The Foley artist. The Foley artist for this one was Denny Thorpe. He worked on Avatar and Iron Man and War Horse, and I think he worked on World too. But like, having a physical thing there, like they had so many physical things, it just made it more impactful. And also, like, it's excess. There's
right.
Too
I was gonna say
much.
so. This is a bit of an esoteric throwback to one of our other episodes, really, an interview that we did with Tyler from Goodbye June, where he was talking about the way they record their guitars, and he had a friend saying, dude, like, how did you get your new album to sound so big? And he's like, there's just like one guitar on each side. Like, because I think part of the problem with the way sound is done nowadays is like excess. It's like everything. It's like, there's got to be a lot of noise everywhere all the time. And I think when that's the case, like when T-Rex steps out of the cables in the first movie onto the street, where they're not Jeeps, by the way. I think they're like Ford Explorers, but anyway.
Are they? Oh,
well,
no, the Jeeps come later.
The Jeeps are like the gas Jeeps, yeah, but the ones that are on the track are actually not Jeeps.
I think they're Ford. I think you are right.
Yeah, but anyway, when she steps out onto that street, it's like there's some rain noise, but that's it, and you just hear the stomps, and they're just so massive and crunchy and like. But there's always something else going on in film nowadays, I feel like, with sound. Like, there's always just a lot playing. And so you don't get that isolated sound. And so you don't focus on it as much on a subconscious level. And this goes back to one of John Williams' biggest strengths, knowing when not to put music in a film. Because I can't remember exactly with World, but I feel like a lot of the scenes, especially toward the end with the bigger dinosaurs, like, I feel like there's usually music playing.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just
Ford Explorer.
Yeah, maybe that's just my impression, but like in Jurassic Park, there's no music during that whole scene with the rain.
Yeah.
And you just focus on, there's basically two sounds you're focusing on. Whatever the T-Rex is making and all of the screaming from the children.
Yeah.
Which is excellent, by the way. Those kids knocked it out of the park.
That whole scene's one of the greatest scenes in all of film. Like,
absolutely.
When it's, oh man, they're like sitting in the back and he's got that weird what are the night vision goggles?
Yeah, yeah.
Like that kind of stuff, like,
are they
so
heavy? Yes,
simple.
then they're expensive. Put them back.
That whole scene is just, they're in two different cars. Like, it's being separated from adults, and the one adult
and
you
the
think you're
leaves.
with is leaving you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, those are children having to deal with, and you, as we were, are seeing this as a child, so it only makes it more effective, because you're like, oh shit, like,
and it's
sometimes not even adults can protect you.
Another thing with the horror, I mean, you know, again, it's Spielberg. He knows how to direct horror. And like, there's just some shots that not that I would ever want them in like the World movies to just impersonate Spielberg or like copy his shots, but there's shots that I feel like I never saw in World. Like when it's like this split second quiet shot where it's like the camera's in the car and then like the T-Rex busts through the sunroof. You know what I'm talking
Yes.
about? And they're like
Yeah.
holding the glass, the kids like trying to hold it back because the glass hasn't actually shattered. It just like popped off.
Oh God, when
And-
it's like
and
coming
it's-
down and they're like pushing it back.
And like the way
Yeah.
the camera moves in that scene, it's almost like very like Sam Raimi. It's like very like
Yeah.
interesting perspective with like whether it's the first person shot from the T-Rex's point of view or from the kid's point of view or whatever they do. But like, yeah, I don't want to hang on that scene forever, but obviously it has to be talked about
So
because it's incredible.
I do want to talk about the people in this one because you've got John Hammond, you got Alan Grant, you got Ellie, you've got what the fuck Jeff Goldblum's name is. They're I wrote this one down because I really like that line. John Hammond's like, "There's no doubt our attractions will drive kids out of their minds," and Alan's like, "What are those?" And Ellie's like, "Small versions of his old honey." Like
it's like
they
airplane, like a
they had
hospital. What is
such-
it? It's a large building with patients, but that's not
They
important
had
right now.
really good rapport, even though there's like the age difference is creepy, but
Wait,
they don't end up
with-
together, which is super
Who,
shitty.
Ellie?
Yeah,
How old was she? She didn't look like she was that young. Like, I mean, not that she looked old, but like she didn't look like she was like 19 or anything. She looked like she was in her 20s at least.
let me look it up. But
But
they're
yeah,
they don't end up together in fucking 3, which pissed me off. But now they're coming back for the last movie, so hopefully they'll the Wikipedia, everyone's name is in the Jurassic Park font. That's incredible. How old was she? Oh, Jesus Christ. These things are so dense with information.
Oh, the Wikipedia pages. Yeah.
Was she in 3? Or was she
No.
in 2 more?
No, she wasn't in 3 at all, and I don't even think she was in 2 either, honestly.
No, she was in
Unless-
3 because Alan goes to her house.
Oh, that's right. It's like brief.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot about that scene.
Yeah,
Or
because
no, he
she's the
doesn't-
one, and Barney the dinosaur is in that scene too.
Well, there's a phone call at one point, right? Like they call
Yeah.
her from the island.
He goes to her house, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk about the raptors, the velociraptors.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the actors, and then we'll get back to
Oh
the
yeah, I'm
dinosaurs.
sorry. Yeah, you were on that.
I texted you when I was watching that Dr. Hammond was a lot more likable than I thought he was.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm watching it and he's like
I
he's like
yeah,
overjoyed
forget that.
and me thinking back, I'm like, oh no, that's the evil man that created the dinosaurs. But it's really like he was so excited about this. He's just a dumbass and didn't think of what could happen because of that.
And I think when I was a kid, I didn't appreciate the scene after everything's gone to shit and he's eating the melting ice cream because all the power's out and Ellie comes in and talks to him. I didn't really appreciate when I was a kid, like him talking about when he was a child and, or at least when he was younger. And the first thing he made was that flea circus, like the first attraction that he built, and talking about how like the kids would say like, oh, I can see the fleas, even though it's all just like motorized and there were no fleas. And how he wanted to build something real that people could touch and see. And like, it's a brief scene that could have otherwise been missing, but like gives his character, I think, for how short the scene is, a lot of added depth because
And
you
he's
understand
not in the movie a ton. He's only in like
no, and you
because
understand like
the movie.
why he was doing it, but even if it is wildly flawed logic.
I love the scene where they're all at dinner and everyone's just like giving him shit. He was like, "Oh man, the only one that's on my side is the bloodthirsty lawyer who I thought would be against me."
And the lawyer's like, "Thank you."
Yeah, just him. Like he genuinely wanted to make something.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like he wanted to make some. Yeah, he wanted to do it. He just wanted to like do the thing he loved.
Mm-hmm.
And that just happened to be fucking dinosaurs, which didn't go well for anyone. But I think Alan is probably my favorite character because you get a lot of time with Alan and the kids. And I think one of my favorite scenes is where he goes and saves the
Tim?
Yeah.
From the tree?
Yeah, he saves him from the tree. Out of like that, they end up back in the car.
Yeah,
and the car falls on top. He's like, "Oh, we're back in the car." Like things like that. Like for someone who you're introduced as like kind of a hard ass, and he's like, "I don't want to do this." And that line about the kids is like,
and he doesn't like youth.
he
He doesn't like new things.
Yeah, but then he's the one who gets on the fucking electrical fence and just does something. He pretends he's getting shocked to like kind of make them laugh, which is also terrifying. But like he's trying, and you see him like they're fighting for their lives, but his first instinct is to try to make them feel okay in a situation where they're not okay.
Right. Yeah. And like,
so I think his character stands out a lot.
I love because I mean, there's so many other movies, old or new, where people are going through, traumatic, life-altering situations, and I don't know. It like sometimes it'll just feel like, like stuff happens and nobody takes a second to talk to each other. And I love that when he has to go get Tim out of the tree, he takes a moment to talk to Lex, is her name, right? Lexi?
Yeah.
And he's like, because she's like hyperventilating and totally in shock. And, she's saying he left us, the lawyer. And he goes, but that's not what I'm going to do. And he like tells her, like he like briefs her on what's about to happen. He's like, I'm going to go get your brother because he's up in that tree. He needs my help. But I will be back. Like, and it's like, yeah, like that's what kids need. They need like that reassurance and understanding like of what's about to happen. And you give them a little bit of like a briefing because it's, it's different when you're an adult and you know what your plan is, or you can make an inference about what another person's plan is when they go running off. But like he's trying, even though it's not his wheelhouse, and it makes him so endearing as a character.
I need you to know that I was looking up the dinosaur that killed,
Nedry,
because I forgot his name. And as I'm Googling, I said dinosaur that killed. And the first thing that came up in it says a Newman. So I'm glad I'm not the only one who's going to Google that same thing.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
He's very funny in this movie.
He's great. We got Dodson here.
Yeah, I got Dodson here. Like,
cares.
he's like, nobody cares. He's a bad dude. Is he working for Intech or is Intech?
No. InGen is
InGen.
InGen is the one that is Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And I think you were just mixing that up with Initech from Office Space.
Yeah. What is the company that is trying to steal from Park?
I can't remember.
But yeah, they gave him the Barbasol, which is also iconic. The Barbasol with the pods in it.
Inside, yeah.
Yeah. God, what a great. And
then he lays the, like when he tests it out and he lays the shaving cream like on one of the pie slices on the table next to him as if it's like Cool Whip.
God, what an asshole.
Also, I love how bad, like, he's like this, like, brilliant, it's such good characterization to me that he's like this, like, brilliant computer programmer and, like, designer or whatever. But then, like, when he has to, like, lie about, like, the system going offline, he's, like, such a bad liar. Like, he's, like, sweating, nervous. Like, I'm just going to get something to eat, a little something salty, something sweet. I needed, like, some pretzels or something. So,
he could have stopped, and he's so nervous that he just keeps going.
Just keeps rambling. It's so good. Also, not a big character in the movie, but I just freaking love Samuel Jackson in this film.
Hold on to your butts. He gets his arm ripped off by a velociraptor, right?
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yeah.
There is another character in this that isn't as big in this one, but he's not super big in any of them, but Wu, the BD Wong.
Yeah.
I skipped the world for a hot second. In World, he has the biggest dick moment where he's just like,
yes,
you're the one who wanted this.
Right.
I'm doing what you told me.
Right.
I'm the one who made the dinosaurs, not you, me. And at the end of the day, he's the one who's doing this shit. Like, he's the one who created them all. I don't know if he is at fault for it or the fault of the people who made him do it, but he enjoys what he does. Like, you can tell that he's like, no, like, I did this on purpose. Like, I put these, you wanted something more dangerous. I gave you something more dangerous.
Can you remember, and I haven't seen the movies after, I've seen World, but I haven't seen the sequel and obviously the new one yet. But I'm trying to even remember just back to like, because in the Lost World, don't they like get off the island, the dinosaurs? Or am I thinking
in Lost World? Oh no, they take okay. So at the end of Lost World, they bring the T-Rex in the second island to LA, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
So it gets out, they capture it, they bring it back. It's the end of 3 where they leave the gates open to the giant whatever you call a bird cage. The Aeritarium, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
The pterodactyls get out at the end of 3.
That's right. No, the reason I ask is because I can't remember if it was like addressed in those movies, but I don't know if you remember in Jurassic Park, there's a mention of this lysine contingency. Who's the hunter guy, the Australian? I think he's Australian or English. I can't remember which. But he mentions it when they're trying to like figure out like what options do they have to, solve the whole problem of the system being down. And the lysine contingency was that, Wu, when he's designing their genetics, like inserts a faulty gene so that they can't digest they don't have the amino acid lysine, so they can't digest certain proteins or something like that. And if they're not provided it, like by the keepers of the park, then they'll go into a coma and die. but it's like it has to be actively supplied or else they die. And I just can't remember if that's ever addressed in the films.
I don't think it is, but it is. Life finds a way, so it's like
right, yeah.
The only thing that really the thing that most pissed me off about World and Fallen Kingdom is they don't. So what's this? There's Isla Nublar and Isla.
I know.
Oh God, what's the name of the second one? I'm googling it because I want to know, or I'm going to get so pissed. Yeah. So they don't ever talk about it in the new films. So
Sorna, Isla Sorna.
Isla Sorna, that's it. Isla Sorna, if you don't know, is the setting for the second Lost World, where they were like making the dinosaurs and then they brought them over to the other island.
Right.
So there's a fuck ton of dinosaurs over there, and nobody ever mentions what happened to the island. I don't know where it's mentioned, but they did, and they took them all off that island and put them on Nublar. So that island is empty, quote unquote, according to the Wikipedia page after I got out of the movie and was just pissed. Yeah. That's the weird things I get mad about. Like it takes a lot for me to get annoyed or anything by stuff because I'm like, oh, I enjoyed that. I'm moving on. But there's a whole second island. Why would
Speaking of little things like that, I'm just curious of your thoughts on it. How much do you care, or do you care about the T-Rex scene and the cliff just dropping off? The continuity.
The magic cliff? No, I don't give a shit at all.
Yeah, neither do I.
It makes for a better movie.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with Spielberg on his that reasoning that it's just like it just makes for a better movie. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Like stuff like that for me.
And I've seen made up maps where people try to retcon oh no, but this area would have had the cliff and the T-Rex still would have been. I'm like, I don't even care.
Who cares?
You don't have to justify it. It's fine.
It's a fucking dinosaur that's running at me. I don't give a fuck where those cliff came from.
Right. We're already in a movie where dinosaurs have been cloned and they're not even accurate. To
I disband all belief. I am one of those people who completely can unhook from any sort of reality in films whatsoever. I don't care.
Yeah.
It does not bother me. If it makes for a better movie, I just don't care.
Right.
But Newman gets killed by that fucking dinosaur.
Right.
It is such a funny scene. It probably shouldn't be a funny scene, but
so I got to make a note of this. I think it's I know that the movie is campy in its own way now and then, but I find it absolutely hysterical that if you listen closely, when he's trying to get the wench from his Jeep to get it off the muddy stick that it's on, and he's trying to go down, there's all that water running down the cliff that he's on, and he slips and he falls down the side of the hill or whatever. If you listen when he slips, there's a very Looney Tunes cartoonish sound effect. It's a very that slip whistle that you would always hear,
I'll have to look.
Almost like somebody just slipped on a banana peel in a cartoon, that kind of joking.
I wish it was a
noise.
fart.
But I found it so goofy all the time that it's a very, it's somewhat of a serious movie, and then you just hear this little whoop when he slips, and it just always cracks me up. But that is a great scene. No wonder you're extinct.
No wonder you just. Having him in there, I don't know what.
Stupid.
I don't know when this happened in relation to Seinfeld, but it's so funny.
It's probably around the same time.
Is it Greg Knight? Is that his name? Right? Something Knight.
Wayne Knight.
Wayne Knight. It's a great name.
Yeah, sounds like
he's dead though, so he can't come back. But yeah, so I love that dinosaur that has the little. It has the King Cobra thing where the fucking sides come out.
With the rattling noise.
I just had the name up. It is a
Dilophosaurus? Dilophosaurus, because that's the first.
That's it.
That's the first thing that they see on the tour, but they don't see them. It's the narrator's first up on the tour, Dilophosaurus, and then they're oh, there's nothing there. So, all right. So while we're on the topic of dinosaurs, was there anything else you wanted to cover with that scene, or do we want to move to
Oh no, I did want to tell you that the Rexy, the T-Rex, is named Roberta.
Oh, that's right. I remember that now.
I just need you to know that its name is Roberta. That's fucking incredible.
There's always names for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Bruce
that's
and Jaws.
Wild. Well, I mean, Bruce, but having that have a name makes sense, being they had it in the park and then the second park. My biggest question is, what was it doing in between? What's that story? You get a Peacock original series about what Rexy was doing between Jurassic 3. Jurassic 3 and World. I'd love to see that.
Also, how old is it in World at that point?
34.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Would they even
It's
have
old.
lived that long? It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, they made it. It's not like it's
Right,
a
right.
natural occurring thing.
Right. Yeah.
Could you imagine, like, you made all these dinosaurs and you're like, okay, we made, oh, fuck, they can live forever.
You know, speaking of which, that's one thing that I do love that the movie kind of unintentionally covers for is that by saying the thing about, you know, how they had to insert like frog DNA to you know, fill in some of the gaps, it kind of makes up for the fact that like the movie's not totally accurate to what we know about dinosaurs now, because it's like you can just it's a total like fan retcon thing, but you could totally just be like, oh yeah, well there's frog DNA, so like it's not, they're not going to look perfect.
Yeah, but a lot of the stuff with dinosaurs still isn't conclusive either. Like the feather things, now they're saying that isn't right. Like that shit changes because they're not real. Dinosaurs weren't real; they were made up.
Yeah,
still are.
Yeah, the Earth is only 6,000 years old, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's flat, so take that, people who can think for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then we've got the velociraptors, who are... So I used to... In college, before I had parties, like when I'd go to parties, I would sit at my desk and drink, but I would listen to dubstep with I would just turn on a loop of velociraptor noises in the background. Like John still remembers this. He brings it up every so often. I would just put it on. Like people would be in my room, like everyone's pre-gaming, and they're listening to like whatever shitty dubstep is on. But people would be like, "Does anybody hear the velociraptor noises?" And it took a while for me to actually say I was putting those on. So,
excellent.
Fun fact about it. It's also turtles fucking, but reversed. You got to give it to whoever the fuck did all the sound. I can't. I was trying to figure it out who did the sound design for all the dinosaurs. Dude. That person deserves a fucking Medal of Honor.
Well, was Ben Burt on this one?
Hold on.
I'm looking it up.
Sound design, Jurassic Park. Looking. I can't.
I don't know if he was. I think.
Who the fuck did the sound?
I think he was like a mentor of maybe who
Rydstrom
worked on Jurassic Park, but I don't
Gary
think...
Rydstrom.
Yeah. I'm reading that like Ben Burt was like his, like he was Ben Burt's like apprentice or whatever kind of, but like
some of the dinosaur noises for the T-Rex came from Rydstrom's Jack Russell Terrier, Buster.
Yeah, it's nuts.
That's fucking wild.
It's so cool what they can do with the layering of the different sounds and speeding up or slowing things down. God. This is a total side tangent, cool. But you know the awesome like Batmobile sound in the Batman?
Yeah.
The startup was the sound designer took the noise of a bottle rocket going off and like wildly slowed it down and then like duplicated and like layered it in a bunch of ways and stuff.
That's wild.
But it's like, that's why it has that like punch to it, because it's not like an engine starting, it's a bottle rocket. Like
it's got the wow sort of noise to it. Damn, that's wild.
Hats off to Rydstrom, if that's his last name.
Deserves a fucking Medal of Honor.
That T-Rex roar and the raptor noises are just insanely iconic. Like once you've heard them, it's like you never forget them. It's
Velociraptors.
Like nothing else. And just the way the raptors are utilized in the film as a horror element, and
the kitchen they're fucking scene, terrifying.
Oh my god, the kitchen scene. One of my favorite shots with the raptor in the movie is when the people at the end, when they're all up in the vents and then the raptors start jumping and attacking them through the vents, and Lex almost like falls through and Grant has to like pull her through, and the raptor gets like an inch away from just like gnawing her foot off. But it's like, you know, a split second, like if Grant hadn't grabbed her, you know, any sooner, like it would have been a lot worse.
My favorite is the porthole on the kitchen when the Velociraptor blows on it and the steam. That used to be my Apple Watch thing. So anytime I would pull my wrist up, I would see the Velociraptor come out in the steam.
Well, because you can do like an animated GIF as like your wallpaper or whatever, right? I forgot that you could do that on the watch.
Yeah, I might have to set that up again today.
Yeah.
I always forget until I actually get back into watching these films just how fucking much I love dinosaurs. Like, they're so cool.
And there's just so many cool little touches like that. Like that's an echo of the T-Rex scene, because he breathes on the car window, right? And it's the same kind of like the fog from the humidity from the breathing. I think those kinds of things are so easy to pass by, and that's part of the reason why the effects don't sell as well in World all the time, because it's such a brief moment, but it's like you're seeing these things interact with the actual world in a very real way that like makes it all click in your head. Like, oh yeah, like it's there, like it's breathing on the window, and you see that fog, and it just totally sells the effect.
We should move on to World, and I want to move on to World with one of my favorite quotes from Park, because this is what I love about World. So John Hammond says, all major theme parks have delays. When they opened Disneyland 1956, nothing worked. And Ian Malcolm Goldblum is like, yeah, but John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Yeah.
So I love World as a concept, and I was so excited for it because the way they described it is like, you're 15, you're sitting on your phone, and like you're looking at social media, and right in front of you is a fucking T-Rex. They were like,
right,
you live in a world where this is so commonplace that you're not excited by a fucking T-Rex in front of you.
Right.
I was like, that is so interesting to me that this park has gotten to the point of complacency of people being so comfortable around fucking dinosaurs that they're like, oh no, this is just normal. So they have to make a bigger one. So what I really want to talk about in World, and this is probably just how I love world building. Like in Mandalorian, when you get to see an AT-AT being used as a fish crane, like that is what I live for. So seeing World as an actual theme park, because I love theme park history more than I like the parks themselves. I just think it's an interesting concept.
Right.
I was so excited to see this, and watching it again, I was even more excited because I'm older and I understand the kind of the politics that go into all of this. And at one point, she is standing there, and Claire, played by
Bryce Dallas Howard.
No,
I'm sorry.
Dude, I do it every time. It's the two people I get mixed up: Bryce Dallas Howard and
Bryce Dallas Howard is in Jurassic World. I'm certain of that.
Is she?
So you're thinking of Jessica Chastain, right?
Yeah, that's something of.
But it is Bryce Dallas Howard.
It is Bryce Howard in this one, and then in the she's like, oh, now we have some attraction done by, we have this attraction by Verizon, and Verizon is sponsoring something in the park.
Yeah.
And like watching that, I'm like, God damn, that is so interesting. Like what went into Verizon being like, we're going to sponsor this. Yeah. Because when they sponsor something in a park, so like when Kodak would sponsor things in Disney World, they would put in, it was like selling stuff for themselves. They have to put something in that attraction that would sell Verizon's phones.
Right.
Like what in the fuck are they putting in these rides to sell Verizon? So thinking of that kind of stuff is so interesting. And I was so interested to see a fully operating Jurassic Park, which is now World, like seeing the attractions, seeing like, what are the hotels like? How do they have all of these people come to this island that is like far off the coast? Like,
right.
How do you, it's a huge island, but how many people can you have at capacity? Like, what can you do here? How many attractions? Because the attractions aren't close in the thing. So the gyroscope, whatever the fuck they're called.
Yeah, the giant ball thing that they
they're
ride
not
in.
close. You have to take a tram to go ride those. So you're taking a tram from the main world, like the main center, like the big circle, to go out to another ride. Like, they're not all together.
It's an excursion,
The logistics of this park is wild. And like, I really want to know what the ticket price is. I want to understand the economics of Jurassic World.
In the first one, when they have that meeting with the dinner with all the projectors around them, the lawyer says, he says something like, we can charge whatever we want. Like, I think he says something like $100 a day, $10,000 a day, and people will pay it. So it's like, there's that and then Hammond does push back, and he tries to say like, no, like I want everybody to be able to experience this. Like it shouldn't only cater to the super rich. But
so that was
in
Hammond.
World, right? In World, I do remember in World that the attitude of the leadership is very different, and I get the vibe that they would charge $25,000 a day if they can find people to pay for it, which I'm sure they would.
So the guy who takes over and buys it all is continuing Hammond's dream,
right?
But he's commercializing it. He doesn't care. So somebody did some like big research, and they said, you better be willing to shell out thousands of dollars for a ticket, nearly $7,000 to go to Jurassic World. So this person literally broke it down, how much everything costs. I think that is the most interesting thing, and then they drop it completely because the park gets turned on its head.
And so wait, $7,000, but like, are they, when they do that, they're factoring in I'm sure the travel.
Yeah, the travel, the staying, all that kind of stuff.
But are they like, how much are they factoring in for like what the park would be charging just to make do on all the R&D and everything that they had to do and all the, you know what I mean? Like just the cost of upkeeping the park. Like, cause I feel like it'd be more than 7,000. I don't know if that's just me.
Oh, here we go. Recently, some official licensed Jurassic Park merchandise hit the web in the form of Visitor Center limited edition legacy kits. The most interesting thing is a 3-day park ticket would have been $550, which is kind of, that's how much it would cost you to go to Disney World for 3 days. Because if you get park hoppers, they're about $183, if I recall correctly, for land. I can't remember what they are for
making
World.
Their money back? Because that doesn't sound like enough to me.
Yeah, for World, it doesn't seem right. Like, how much would it cost to go? Because you can't do a day trip to Jurassic World.
And I'm not even just, but like the travel alone, it should be more expensive, right? Than going to Disney, because Disney's in, the contiguous 48 states, right? But like, I'm just literally thinking about like the amount of money it takes to do all the cloning and all the scientific work that they're doing. And then on top of all that, having the infrastructure on the park to contain the dinosaurs, like, and feed them and everything else. Like, that would have to end up being so much more. But we're talking about the imaginary economy of like.
But that's what interests me most about this. So someone's calculated it's $3,000 for the flight, $300 for the ferry, $643.52 for entry tickets. It may be lower for children, and $140. So it's about $4,000 for a trip.
Like for a week?
Yeah, $2,000 to $4,000 for a 2-day visit.
Interesting.
It's just I love that shit so much. Like, getting to see like the walkway and like the merchandise. I'm like, that's all I want. And
that's the thing about World. The movie didn't make much of an impression on me, but I'm like you. Like the concept I think was interesting.
Yes.
It's just the execution for me personally wasn't there, but.
So as I'm rewatching it, the big thing with me is that it is a setup for a trilogy. Yeah. And to get people into the theaters, you give them nostalgia. You show them the old park. You do all that stuff. But by the end, it's completely different because they release this giant dinosaur. Mm-hmm. You still have... So this time, the Velociraptors are on your side. The Velociraptors and... what was her name? I just forgot it.
Bryce Dallas Howard?
No, Brenda. No. What's the big dinosaur? What's the T-Rex's name?
Oh, Roberta.
Roberta's on your side this time, and they're fighting this giant dinosaur. But it doesn't end with, like, them being like, no more Jurassic World. Jurassic World's, like, they can't save it at this point.
Right.
Like, they just need to get out of there.
Right.
So, yeah. And there's no, like, with that park, there should have been, like, bunkers where those people could have gone and hidden.
You would think.
Because, like, what was the security? Like, they had a team, sure, but those people got wiped easily.
Right.
Like, it was like the fucking Titanic. There was no plan.
No contingencies.
Yeah. When the poor assistant gets tossed up by the pterodactyls, like, yeah. Like, what do you call those little shitheads? Seagulls. It's like a seagull. It was like throwing her out. It was like, Jesus Christ. And the giant fish. Oh, man. I just think it's so interesting to watch all that. Where's the giant fish?
Yeah, no, I was going to say the seagull-like things. I was like, they're not going to steal your sandwich. You are the sandwich.
Yeah, you're the sandwich. Did that fucking giant sea monster thing they had get out?
The SeaWorld Shamu thing?
Yeah. Did they just let that fucker out?
I don't know.
Okay, so idea. You haven't seen the second. So in the second one, they basically go to the island because it's a volcano, fun fact. And they save all the dinosaurs as well as they can, but they bring them to the mainland. But the thing is, they get out. They get out. That's how it works. And there's people selling them. There's like people bidding, and there's like the upper crust of the world are pieces of shit. So that's what they're doing.
Right.
The second one's really good. It's more of a horror movie than anything. In the first 10 minutes and the last 30 minutes, but it's just so interesting to me. What I'm most interested in now is the fact that these creatures are now in public, like they're in the world and interacting. And to be fair, their PR teams and publicity is so good right now. Like there's some website where you can search what dinosaurs are near you, and there's It's like found footage videos of dinosaurs like in these areas and like
Yeah,
it's
well, I was going to say
cool.
we'll probably touch on that with the credits of Big Rock, Battle of Big Rock. But
World, I don't like Chris Pratt, so like
right.
He's all right. Like Bryce Dallas Howard and him are good. Like they're fine. What I wish, so I was sitting there with Scarlett watching it yesterday and I was like, it's the scene where they're on the tram with the two kids and they're talking about their parents' divorce. And it actually is very sad because the little kid doesn't know how to handle it.
Right.
But the older brother, his first instinct is like, I'm out of here in 2 years. And then he realizes the effect that he's having on his little brother who doesn't know how to handle these things. And it's very nice. But I don't think that should have been the subplot. I don't think they should have just thrown them in. They should have been the main plot of the story.
Right.
They should have been the POV because this was aimed at younger audiences, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have them be the main concern and not like just be like, oh, Chris Pratt's in this one. Come see the shit show bigot.
And he's just like a super generic store brand Indiana Jones. Like he's just not, I don't know. There's nothing there to like, he doesn't have the things that like Grant has as part of his character that then like allows him to interact with the kids in a way that's like deeply connective or like something like that. So he's already like too perfect when he comes onto screen. You know what I mean? Like he's already the grizzled hero guy, whatever. Like it's like
trains fucking dinosaurs. Like
it's like they tried to combine Grant with like the hunter security guy from the first one. And it's like, that doesn't work. Like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah.
But
if it was just...
It's a shame because I like Bryce Dallas Howard, but...
Yeah, if it was just Claire and the kids, that would have been a great story.
Right.
Because like she clearly has buried herself in her work and doesn't have the connection with her sister to know that this is what they're really going through.
Right.
And she like she pawns them off. Like that is a very good story. If we concentrated on that, I would have loved this movie.
Right.
But
we don't need an Italian plumber training velociraptors.
Yeah. Goddamn. Christ Almighty. We don't need Mario in general. AMAB. So. I liked the movie because I was watching it and I was like, damn, oh my God, the best fucking part of the movie is Jake Johnson.
Yes, absolutely.
Motherfucker wears a Jurassic Park, which was a actual thing. How many people died? 8, probably?
Yeah.
So, like, it's a bad thing that happened. I'll get a lot more people. There's a lot more people that died because of Jurassic Park and the 2 sequels.
But it's like a tragedy. Like,
yeah, it's like wearing like the 9/11, the Hooters Remembers 9/11 shirt out to like the 9/11 memorial. Like you can't wear the 9/11 Hooters shirt out to the 9/11 memorial. People stare.
Right. That's the problem is that people stare.
Hey, listen, if you don't know what the 9/11 Hooters shirt is, please Google it. It's one of the greatest shirts of all time. Hooters Remembers. But yeah, that is a very funny in-universe thing. That is so much better than when they actually end up at the visitor center later. That was just like, okay, there we are. Because that fucking shit would be ruined. Like, that banner wouldn't be there anymore.
Right.
Because there was 2 movies afterwards. So the third movie take place on Island 1 or 2. Do you remember?
Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah.
I think it's on the other island because I feel like I remember that being a point of like Grant not wanting to go or something that he's like, I don't know that island as well. Like I know the first island, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I can't remember exactly.
I'm probably going to rewatch this now too because I want to just complete my journey.
Hot take. I thoroughly enjoy Jurassic Park 3 anytime I watch it. It's not the first, but like it's not great by any means, but I just enjoy it for what it is, like for the campy, cheesy movie that it is.
What's the big one in that? Is it the Spinosaurus?
Yeah. And the whole cell phone thing with the ringtone going off.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah, great bit.
I do love that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like there's really cool things in that film.
Sorry.
It's all right.
The second one is Jeff Goldblum has a daughter who's a gymnast and she does like a cool flip at one point and kicks a dinosaur out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I remember about that film. Oh, Vince Vaughn is in it too. Love Vince Vaughn.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with him recently talking about making that film, and he's like, I got to sit with Steven Spielberg and just talk about old movies for hours. Yeah. He's like, I've never been happier.
Right. It's like when Mark Maron talks about being in Joker, he's like, I'm not really even into the comic book movie stuff. I just wanted a chance to work with Robert De Niro. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like,
yeah. I would 100%
Why
take
wouldn't you
that.
pass that up?
Jericho 2019 coming this year for Gate Crashers. I'm gonna trick Ethan into doing it. I don't know how I'll trick him into doing it, but it'll be like an Eric Andre bit where he like comes on, he expects to be talking about something else, and we end up talking about Jericho 2019 for 3 hours. World, a lot of cool concepts.
I think the funny thing about World and the sequels, and even I mean, you could even make the argument for Lost World and 3, is that they're literally like the whole thing that the first movie talks about, like the whole.
Yep.
You know, you didn't even stop to think if you should. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we can make more, so why not? Like the movies have the same problem as the park itself.
It's all about that money.
It's very interesting.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Do you want to talk about Battle at Big Rock?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I do. That shit's 10 minutes and is better than anything after Jurassic Park.
Yes.
It is so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's about a blended family who has been together for a year. The mom has kids from another marriage and the dad has a kid from another marriage. And they're they're all on a camping trip, and you can tell that they're like still trying to figure out like what this means. Like and it's, but then there's fucking dinosaurs. There's a line. She's like, yeah, the neighbor let me play with his crossbow. And he goes, God damn it. Stop letting my kids play with their crossbow.
And then you don't get a response. And he's like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah. And then I can't remember what kind of dinosaur it is.
It's well, it's not a triceratops, but it's like a horned dinosaur, like a triceratops.
The triceratops are the ones that are protecting the baby. There's a large carnivorous one that's attacking.
Triceratops.
It's just like a T. I'm just going to call it a T-Rex. It's not a T-Rex, but it's like a T-Rex type. You know what I'm talking about? Like big, scary.
A predator.
Yeah, predator. And they're fighting it, but they lose. And the baby starts crying, and the fucking predator like turns toward them, and you're like, oh fuck. It's all happening in a small camping trailer park. Like where these people are camping, and it flips the fucking trailer, and it comes through the glass like in Park, and they're like running from it. You're watching, like it's dark. The music's like really, really well done. I think it's just
Giacchino did the music for it too, right?
I think they used Giacchino's score from the other movies. I don't know if he wrote anything new for it, and there's a little bit of John Williams in there as well. We'll talk about. I do want to talk about that later, but. It's like coming through, and then it ends with the little fucking girl shooting this fucker with the crossbow. And she's standing there.
Bullseye shots, too.
Yes, it's a beautiful shot of her holding it, just like, uh-oh,
like
I did it.
Yeah.
God, what a great scene.
Yeah, and then there's the little end credits bits where, like, you see, like, a girl getting, like, chased around a farm by, like, little... What are they like? They're not raptor babies, but they look like
they're
baby velociraptors.
From the second one. They're fucking annoying. Yeah, they're like the little chickens of the dinosaur world.
Right. And she's like screaming in horror, running away from them. And then there's one where like a dinosaur suddenly appears on the road, and the guy like tries to swerve, and he like goes off the cliff.
Yeah.
And there's like the people like rowing some boats, and you see just like a dinosaur drinking from the river, like off the coast, or the creek that they're going through or whatever. There's one I'm missing that came like right after the first one. I'm forgetting what it is. Oh, there's like one where like a couple's like at their wedding, and they like go to release like some doves, and then like a pterodactyl comes by and just eats the friggin' dove. I'm like, wow, that's a bad omen.
So good. And that's the shit I'm really excited for. I love that stuff having to interact with the world, and the world having to change around it, which I'm so pumped for.
Right.
Because it looks like we'll see how much we get in Dominion of it, but like there's so much more you can do with the world. Like you can do I really want to see, like I would love to see, like I don't want to have to keep pumping out sequels and stuff, but like I would love a miniseries about the park itself. Like I'd love to see what went into building it, like that kind of stuff.
Right. No, it's there's so much to be mined there. They just haven't quite gotten it, I don't think. At least from what I saw from World. And
I do think with that being a 10-minute thing, a show may be the way to go, because you could do it smaller and you know your reach more so. You know what I mean? Like you can do less with more with less.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd be wary of there is like I don't like when TV shows based on big IPs fall into like formulas. Like week by week, and I wouldn't want it to be.
I want it to be like a mini series. I want it to just like deal with one thing and then end.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool
I don't
with
want it
that.
to be I don't want
No,
8 seasons of fucking Jurassic Park
interesting.
3.
Right.
I just want something simple going into like one facet. I don't want a monster. I don't want a dinosaur of the week.
Right.
That's the
Yeah,
exact
that's
opposite of
exactly what I was
want.
getting at. Yeah, I don't want them to do that. But
We'll see where it ends up going because I highly doubt the franchise is dead.
no, yeah, exactly. There's too much there for them to let it die. But
Yeah. Oh god, they won't let it die. Who owns it? It's not Amblin that owns
Universal.
it. Is it Universal?
It's Universal. Yeah,
What are those fuckers? Peacock is Peacock Universal?
I think because it's
Comcast. Universal is
Paramount
owned by
Plus.
Comcast, right?
Right. So yeah, it probably would be Peacock.
Yeah,
I think.
it'll be Peacock. Yeah, we'll see how it goes though.
You want to talk about the score? Because I
Yeah,
want to
let me
talk about the
just drop one first before we get into John Williams.
Oh, yeah,
Giacchino, not that good. I love him, and
Yeah,
we
no,
were talking one day.
I
He's either
totally
he's
agree.
either a hit
Yeah.
or a dud.
All right, so hold on. I'm gonna let me before I get into John Williams because I don't want to end on a negative, so I'm just gonna get this out of the way now. And I don't think this is Giacchino's fault whatsoever. I think it was probably an issue with the studio and or the director, but the usage of like the theme, the one that everybody thinks of when they think of Jurassic World, or Jurassic Park, in Jurassic World, the usage of it in that film when they get to the park is to me like one of the most sacrilegious moments in film history. I hate that scene so much, and I don't like to get negative on this podcast usually. So in Jurassic World, when they first get to the park, the theme plays while they're like getting to their hotel room, and then like the peak of the theme plays when they like open the window shutters and you just like see the park. And it's just like people walking around and it looks like some tropical getaway in Mexico. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? Like that, you wasted it on that? Like,
Well, all right,
I get what they're trying to do with the concept.
I think that's the point, though. I think that's supposed to be like, you came to this thing for magic. This thing isn't magical anymore. This is a thing. This is a commodity. This is a Disney. This is we are selling you shit that you don't need.
I think, yeah. And
that's why the theme is kind of bastardized.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good point. I think it's just hard for me to get past that because that theme is so special. And if that's the point of what they're going for, then like hats off to them, I guess. It's just that it's so difficult for me to get past because of how awe-inspiring that theme has been in the past. That it's
if they made their own theme, I would have been happier with that scene.
Right. Because for me, what it is that it's like that theme represents all of like the not just the positives of what Hammond was trying to do, like the incredible, aspiration of it all, but also like the enormity of like the dinosaurs themselves, like as an element of nature, like that we can't control. Like it's so huge, and using it in that way just kills me. But yeah, maybe that was the point. But like, yeah, I would have been happier with like Giacchino just writing something like what he did for Rogue One, where it's like reminiscent of the Star Wars theme, but it's not the Star Wars theme.
Yeah,
like when the title card drops,
we know he can do a Williams
style if he wants. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like if he was given maybe a little more free reign, or maybe he was, I don't know. But like, it was just a weird way to use that to me, and it just always kills me because it's like, it just falls so flat. Not that I wanted them to just, impersonate the first movie and do another big dinosaur reveal with that theme, but like, I don't know, there had to be some other way that it's just weird. But yeah, I haven't seen anything past World, but like World itself, not my favorite Giacchino score.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember if I talked to you about this outside of this podcast, but I watched the roundtable stuff that they did for the Batman, which for those that don't know, Michael Giacchino also scored. And he talked in there about how everything that like Matt Reeves did with the film was incredibly like inspiring to him, and like just looked so cool to him that like he feels like he does his best work when he's like really inspired by something. So I wonder what his feelings were, like his honest feelings behind closed doors, like on Jurassic World as a film, because The Incredibles, even though it's a bit of a direct ripoff theme-wise of like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the James Bond movie, like it's still a great theme that people recognize, and
Yeah.
it's the score just kills in that movie. It's awesome. And same thing for like, I know Up is not a perfect film past the first 10 minutes or whatever, but like those
score
themes
is
are still
great.
recognizable and people love it. And those are clearly, I think, the type of movies that like in the Batman that like inspired him clearly, like, and the Batman is incredible for that reason. But yeah, I wonder what his like honest thoughts of the film would have been, because it just doesn't, that score just personally doesn't do it for me compared to his others.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, hopefully this next one is really good, because like his Spider-Man 1 and 2 were all right, but then 3 is where it like
Yeah.
everything he's been building kind of clicked, and he did a really, really good score there.
Yeah. And he used the themes from like
Yeah,
the older Sam Raimi,
but not
movies and stuff
overtly.
well.
Like he
Right,
didn't just
right.
use them. Yeah,
Yeah, not just for nostalgia. Like they're used intentionally in the scenes where it makes sense for them to play. Like,
yeah.
which is something that he was really good at with Rogue One too, because there's a YouTube channel called Sideways that I've showed you before with like talks about film scoring and motifs and stuff like that. And he noticed in one of his videos, and Michael Giacchino responded to him on Twitter and like confirmed that what he was thinking was right, which is that in A New Hope, when Leia first comes on the transmission to say, "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope," or the recording on R2, there's these little flutes that play in the John Williams score. And there's a few times over the course of Rogue One where you hear similar flutes like that. And it's always when a message is being delivered of some sort, like when they talk to the pilot in like his like prison cell thing, after he's like dealt with the Boogalit or whatever. Yeah. And so in that YouTube video, the guy that what's his name? Ethan, that is Sideways. He mentions like, I think Giacchino is using this as like a motif for like sending a message, and Giacchino was like, "Yeah, that's exactly right." Like,
It's awesome.
like it's cool that you noticed. And it's like, yeah, like he's a smart composer and he knows what he's doing, and he's got a great ear for melody, which is lacking, I feel like, in a lot of modern film composition, which I don't think is the fault of the composers. I think it's just what they're being asked to do. But yeah, we all know that Giacchino can kill it when he wants to. Like,
Yeah.
so
We
it's
also
like-
know John Williams.
Yeah. So I've been thinking like all morning about how to even talk about the score in this movie. And I think the big point that I wanted to make is like, all right, so like I keep relating this film to Star Wars just as a comparative thing, but I love the Star Wars scores, but I really feel like they're at their best when they're with the movie, like when you're watching the films with them. And I would still say that for Jurassic Park, but I feel like I can enjoy listening to the Star Wars scores like on their own, but I prefer to watch the movies with them like greatly. And with Jurassic Park, I feel the same way, but Jurassic Park is one of those scores, like it might be, at least in my own personal preference, like the best thing John Williams has ever done, because if like, to anybody that hasn't done this, get a good pair of headphones on one night, or just set yourself up in front of a really good set of speakers and like turn off the lights. Don't turn on a device. Get your phone on Do Not Disturb, like shut it off, whatever. And just listen to the whole score. And especially if you can't listen to the whole score, just listen to Journey to the Island in its like 8-minute
Such a
entirety. And there's just this like, I don't know, this score is like this purity to it in certain spots. Like
The way I think of it is like, it has the themes of like Main Street on Disney. Like it has that theme park feeling.
right.
With Journey to the Island. Like it's like a pure, like you're going to have a memory here that is going to live with you forever. And then
That's an interesting way to look at it that I never looked at it at.
yeah.
Because I
That's-
always feel like it's this like beauty of life that it's like
I
representing.
think it was like
but,
a carousel. Like
That's so interesting.
a beautiful amusement park like thing that like sticks in your mind. You know, the carousel,
Yeah.
like you're riding around in circles, you're
yeah.
like the lights and stuff. That's how I think of Journey to the Island, because like you're coming to this thing you're so excited to be at. And then from there you get fucked.
Yeah.
Has he
But,
done I'm just going through, you might know this better than I would. Has he done anything that's Disney that isn't Star Wars?
Has John Williams done anything Disney that is not Star Wars? Was the BFG a Disney movie?
I'm looking right now.
Because that's Spielberg.
I'm literally going through his entire. I've been sitting here going through his entire discography.
I thought
No, I think that was
no. It
that
is.
was
BFG's Disney.
Is it?
Yeah. So he
Okay,
did
there we
that.
go. BFG. So that was after Star Wars was bought. So that's when he didn't do anything Disney until 2015.
Which was the BFG.
No, Star Wars Force Awakens.
Oh, right.
And then
that's
BFG.
2016. BFG.
That's wild.
Yeah. They couldn't get him. He's too busy with Spielberg all the time with Amblin.
Yeah. Good for him.
But yeah, I mean, the score has everything because it's a horror movie too. So it's got all that dissonant horror stuff that John Williams is great at as well. But I mean, Journey to the Island, the main theme is just, I can't, if I spend time on my own listening to Journey to the Island and I don't have distractions, I mean, it's rare that I won't tear up or cry. Like,
Yeah.
It's just one of the most wonderful, not only just pieces of music, but like recordings I've ever heard. Like, it's so well mixed. The orchestra played so well. And it's so special. And I feel like, I mean, if anybody's ever seen the meme of the first scene where they see the dinosaurs and it's played on like shitty recorders, like, I mean, the flutes, you know what I'm talking about? Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah. That one?
Like,
yeah.
That's a perfect example of, I mean, it's a dramatic example, but it's a perfect example of how that scene just would not work without John Williams. It just wouldn't. Like, I don't think anybody else could have stepped in his place and done the job that he did. I don't think it'd be bad. I think it could be a good scene with Hans Zimmer or with Alec, or not Alec. Oh, geez, why did I just blank on his name?
Could you fucking imagine Hans Zimmer's Jurassic Park? The fucking T-Rex comes out and it's like, blah, 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 blah.
I was going to say,
it's so loud it flips the car.
But like Alan Silvestri, like I'm sure could have done a nice job, whatever. But like it just,
I don't like Alan Silvestri. Be honest with you,
he's also hit or miss for me. Like Back to the Future, I like the Avengers theme, but
I'm gonna go on record now. I don't give a shit about Back to the Future in general.
That's fine. What about do you like the Predator theme?
I love the Predator theme.
That's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his best, like, I think.
I mean, in general, I don't give a shit about Back to the Future.
Oh, no, I know. I just meant in terms of Alan Silvestri. I think the Predator's the best thing he ever did.
Oh, Predator's a fucking
I think it's so cool because, little side tangent, it's literally just in 4/4, like the time signature. Like you can just count it in 4. But because of where he places the emphasis on like which notes are accented, it doesn't sound like it's in 4/4. Like it sounds like it's in like some weird 7 count or something. And it's like confusing to listen to, which I think is so cool because it just helps make it sound alien. Like, but anyway, I think a lot of other composers could have stepped in, even like newer ones like, Alexander Desplat could have probably done something beautiful.
Oh, man, could you imagine him doing a fucking Jurassic?
Oh, I'd love it. Well, he almost did Rogue One, and then scheduling shit happened, which like worked out because Giacchino did a great job. But
I think that's Giacchino's best.
Even better than Batman.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I prefer it over Batman.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, probably. But no, I mean, there's some touch that John Williams had that was just so perfect for that scene, and just the way he works with Spielberg and where he chooses to place music. Like, again, the fact that there's no music in the whole T-Rex scene, the attack, it like makes that scene so much better than if there was a bunch of music blasting. But there's just something so special about that score. And, I wouldn't go as far to say that if you don't cry listening to it, that you're not human, but I feel, feel
Mike
close to
O'Brien. If you don't cry, you're a piece of shit. Heartless fucking coward.
It's just I am like, I feel like when we talked about Star Wars,
when I hear a lot of John Williams shit.
I feel like when we talked about Star Wars, I had a lot more to verbalize about his score, and with this, it's almost too perfect to just put anything in the words with it.
With Star Wars, there's 9 films. For this, you have Park.
Which, in terms of what he wrote, like,
yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's one of the perfect, it's just a fucking good score. And everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. Da-na-na-na, holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur. Oh my God. What the fuck?
And you know what's so interesting about it too is that like it's not like Star Wars or Indiana Jones where you've got like a theme for a character and you like latch onto it because of like the character. It's just the Jurassic Park theme. Like it's like that's how everybody knows it. It's not like
it's Roberta's theme.
It's like, oh yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, right. It's like it's not like, oh yeah, that's like it's Superman's theme. It's like, no, it's just literally a theme for a theme park, and like everybody fucking knows it.
It is not. Yeah. Yeah, listen to it again and think of like going to like a carnival or a fair.
I can hear that with a lot of the what is it? I think it's like at the end of the movie when they're flying the helicopter back and like everybody's safe and sound. There's a lot of like bells or xylophones or different things like that are thrown in there, and that definitely gives me the carnival theme park vibes. Because it sounds a little bit more almost like playful or something. And it reminds me of like a merry-go-round and like games at a theme park that like make a lot of dinging bell noises and stuff like that. But then he also weaves in there all the kind of tropical sounding, like the intro bit, like during the opening credits that there's like I don't know if it's like a pan flute in there or which kind of flute he's using, but like, yeah, I just
I'm not a big
John
flute
Williams.
guy. I couldn't help you on that one.
That's okay.
I'm not a fluter.
Yeah. Not since he got a girlfriend, at least.
Fucking got him. All of our humor has become middle school. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Just one day it happened.
Well, that's what happens when you and I do these episodes, because it's when we met. So we just go back in time.
Fluter. Well, that's all I got to talk about the Jurassic series. Dinosaurs rock, dudes rock. You should just watch it.
Go see Top Gun.
Go see Top Gun.
Top Gun Maverick.
God, Top Gun was fucking awesome.
Dude, I was wondering, like, we didn't really talk the day of when we saw that. And
yeah, and I had to leave.
Did you see the first one, like, prior to, like, a week beforehand? Or
I never saw it.
You've never seen it?
No, not at all.
Oh, damn, dude, you missed out, because the second one does such a good job, like, building off the first. But it doesn't matter. But I was curious, because, like, I didn't know if you've ever been into, like, aviation or anything like that. Like, I've always had a bit of a fascination with aviation and planes and stuff. So, like, that's part of the reason why I loved it. But I didn't know if it was, like, it's, like, a weird, kind of like, have you been seeing the things like in the news where like they're talking about like it's like weird that it's blowing up, like it's weird that like it's bringing like older people back to the movies that like haven't gone to the movies in a long time and stuff like that. So like it is this weird movie because it's not like a big sci-fi IP. It's not like it's attached to some big director like James Cameron. Like it's not that, right? Like James Cameron could do anything and people would go see it, even if it's like like Titanic. Like it's not an action movie, right? But like, so it's like it doesn't have a hugely noticeable, like it's Tom Cruise, right? Like that's the only thing getting people to see the movie is Tom Cruise and jets. And so like it's like one of these weird things that like I usually know your brand, but like because we've known each other for so long, but it's not a movie that I could like guess one way or the other if you'd be into it or not.
Yeah, so I didn't think I was gonna like it. I was just like, I'll go see it.
That's what I figured, is that you wouldn't think it would be.
But I left there and I drove faster. I'll tell you what, dangerously.
Dude, you got to see the bit that because you had to leave like 10 minutes early. I don't want to spoil anything because this is another episode entirely. But the ending was great.
The episode. Yeah, but I'm probably might go see it again. But the Lady Gaga song fucking rips.
Oh, it's great.
Fucking love Lady Gaga.
If you want to see it again, I'll go see it again.
Yeah. All right. So you can find us at gatecrashers.fan. You can find us on all social media at gatecrasherspod. We have a extensive Jurassic World Park IP article coming out from one of our writers, Quinn Experts on Twitter, which is about the series and the IP playing with human dinosaur hybrids and how far it has gone and never been on screen. They had a Halloween Horror Nights attraction on the island where there were humans walking around that were half dinosaur hybrids because of InGen, whatever the company is.
That's so interesting.
And it's like a 20-page. It's like this has been the thing that is like on the periphery of like Jurassic Park since the beginning. Yeah. There's toys. It's like everywhere except on screen. It is one of the most interesting articles we've ever had. So please check that out. And you can find us next week. We have a bunch of interviews coming and things like that. But you're good now. You can switch back to the ending of Jurassic Park if you really want to. So we'll see you next week.
Bye.
You damn dirty velociraptors.
It's over. It's finally over. A rescue team is on its way. Was playing God really worth it in the end, Dan?
Oh, absolutely. Always is. It was pretty cool when we jumped that Jeep over the Stegosaurus, though, right?
I'll give you that, but why was the kitchen large enough for us to crawl around and hide from the velociraptors when they broke into the visitor center? Making them big enough for the both of us had to cost a ton.
Well, because I wanted it to be movie-level authentic. I couldn't have the start of our summer be like some shitty trip to Six Flags now, could I?
Wait, you planned this? All of this?
Yeah.
You're fucking sick, you know that? Why would you do this?
Just shut up and eat some of that Jell-O. You ask me why? I did it for the content, baby. The listeners are gonna love hearing you stick your arm in dinosaur shit. Oh boy, wait till you find out about the second island.
You son of a...